Hello and welcome to Down to the Tire. Today we have a very special guest who combines fashion and F1 as a content creator on TikTok with Get Ready With Me's styling merch, creating looks for the paddock and events. And not only that, but she also recommends and champions small businesses, supports other creators on the app, and creates a real sense of community on her profile. I'm joined by Naya. Welcome to Down to the Tire. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you very much. That was such a nice intro. I was like, oh my goodness, I feel so flattered.
I honestly just wanted to really capture your content creation in a few sentences. And I feel like your content just is incredible. So I really want to go back to the start of your journey as a content creator. When did you get into fashion? When did you get into F1? When did you combine them?
Okay, so fashion, I'd probably say as a child, like my mum has the best dress sense. She used to dress me in like such cool outfits as a child, and she's very free, let me express, do what I want with it. So I've definitely developed my style over a period of time. I would look back and I would not like some of the looks I've chosen, but we'll keep them away. That's fine. But I think I've got to a place where I'm really comfortable with myself, and just wearing what I want to, which is great because sometimes it's hard with, I know, trends and everything. But like I said, I found my place in what I want to do with that. But then F1, very recently, only last year, I think, when was it? January, February, maybe like March, I think was when I got into it. But my dad actually used to watch it before, but as a child, when your dad's got the TV on, you're just like, I don't want to watch that. I'm not going to pay attention because you just want to watch what you want to. So I never really, like I said, paid attention. But like I knew a few drivers and everything, obviously, like Vettel and Hamilton and people like that. But basically, sorry, long story short, I have two friends, Hannah Leone, shout out to them, who were both McLaren fans, both Lando fans, and I met them through concerts, but they were like, you need to get into this. And I never really got into it. And it got to a time where I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch Drive to Survive because I didn't have anything else like to watch. And then just binge that within all of it within a week, which is all the seasons that are out as of now. And then from there, I was hooked. I was like, okay, I need to watch everything. Need to watch all the races. And I just got sucked in. And I can't imagine not being obsessed with F1 anymore. Right, next point. So let me think. When I actually decided to like make TikTok and make videos about it, I thought, when was that? So I'd been thinking about it for a bit of time, but I kind of wasn't sure how I was going to collaborate the two because a lot of people talk about, having niches and things like that to, I guess, succeed or whatever. But then I was just like, you know what, I just want to put out content. I just want to meet new people. So that's what I did. On my like personal account, I followed F1 accounts and I met this girl named Jolie. She's great. And I was in London, so we actually met up in person, which was crazy. Like my first meeting someone who I met offline through F1. And she obviously had her account while she posted about it. And we got talking about it. She was like, you just have to post, like you just have to do it. And I was like, hold me accountable. And she did. And then it happened. So it's all good. It's all good. I'm very happy that I did because I met so many great people through it. And now I like can't imagine life if I didn't know them, which is crazy because it was in such a short period of time as well. But yeah, it was good.
That's awesome. And you mentioned Drive to Survive there. We have spoken about Drive to Survive a little bit already off camera, but I wanted to touch on it as well because as we're recording this, the new season is literally about to drop.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that this is going to be one of your first times actually watching Drive to Survive, having watched the full F1 season from start to finish. What are you kind of expecting
Yeah.
from this year's Drive to Survive? How do you think they're going to portray certain things? And do you think you're going to enjoy it as much now that you've kind of watched a full F1 season before watching it on Drive to Survive?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be very different because when I originally watched it, it was to help me gauge what's happened over the past couple of years, roughly. But then again, we have to remember it is dramatized, take it with a pinch of salt. So obviously, that's what I'm going to do going into it. But I think actually having the knowledge of it and seeing if they've changed things or kind of changed like the storyline of it is going to be interesting. But also, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And also watching the like clips, the teaser trailers, how they've cut it together and given a few kind of like what storylines. So like one of the plot points, at least for what it's saying, is about this drama between the Alpine boys and then also Alpine. And I forgot that Armand came and went in that season because until it showed that in the thing, I was like, that was this season? That's crazy. I was there through that. But yeah, they didn't show much of Max, but then again, it was only a short clip. They can't fit everything into like a short trailer. But I'm excited to see how they develop that. But also with like who decides to be in the interviews, because obviously Lewis was never really in them. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely. I think it's, as like you said, it is a TV show, and you almost have to like separate watching the sport as the races and the actual interviews that are done by the track and everything, and then what's put on Drive to Survive. I think it's just about kind of separating the two and enjoying both for what they are, really.
Yeah, definitely. Because the thing is, I feel like Drive to Survive, the whole point of it in the beginning was to get this new audience. And it did do that job. That's what it did. And it got people into watching the sports. That's how it got me into doing it. So I don't get why people are so iffy about it, because if you want to be able to go to these sporting events, you need to get more people into it. And that's what it did. But yeah, the past few seasons haven't been as good. But I don't know if that's because in the beginning they had like the actual plot points, if that makes sense. And some of the later seasons haven't been in general themselves much drama. So they're kind of having to create their own drama, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, and I'd agree. But yeah, I'm keeping an open mind and still going to look forward to watching it, of course. Circling back to fashion and motorsport together, obviously, fashion is a huge aspect in motorsport, from just looking at the outfits that people wear to the paddock, and then also the merch that is on sale, the outfits that the drivers wear. Some we know have more style than others. And how do you think fashion and motorsport complement each other, and how do you think the two kind of go hand in hand for you?
Like I said, I know it's not a fashion show, but to me it is. So when it's media day, I love to see them come in their own clothes. But I think that's the thing. I like to see it with their own clothes because I like clothes show your personality, and I feel like we don't see that very often. It's just another way of expressing it. So like it's great seeing Lewis in stuff that he's comfortable in. And also I think George is getting better, probably because of the like Tommy Hilfiger collaboration. I feel like he's been able to showcase more of his style in that. And obviously a lot of the other drivers, they just wear their team kit, and team kit's not that great. I'm not the biggest fan of the team kit, but like I said, the reason I like them wearing their own clothes is just to show a bit more personality while they're there. Sorry, I don't know if that made sense. Did that make sense?
Made sense.
Sure.
Yeah. And obviously, as you say, the team kit isn't always the most attractive of
No.
outfits, I will say. Do you ever feel like, as well, with merch? I know you champion a lot of small businesses and the merch that they make. Do you ever feel like the official merch, as both of us being young female fans of F1,
Yeah.
do you ever feel like the merch that the teams make or the F1 themselves make, rather than small businesses, isn't catered enough to the diverse fan base that F1 has? Do you feel like it's all kind of targeted at one group of people, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like with their designs, that if you look on the websites, they have like a male version and a female version, and the female version is just a different fit. Like the design is completely the same. There's no variety there. Like even with the new season stuff that I've seen from McLaren, it's just this, it's just the same. Like there's no difference. And the thing is, for me, merch is very expensive. And in any aspect of buying clothes, if I'm going to buy it, I need to know that I'm going to wear it multiple times with multiple outfits. And you can't do that with generally most F1 merch. I find that some of like Lando's stuff, like the individual drivers things, you can kind of wear a bit more like his design is less, not flashy, but it's not just McLaren. You know what I mean? There's more interest to the designs, which is why I like small businesses, because they take the ideas of F1 but then make them look cute. Like one of them I like is What Design Studio, and they've got like the cars on the front, and it just looks really cool. And it's like I can actually functionally wear that throughout the year. Whereas my, like, say if I've got a Red Bull top or whatever, I'm probably not going to be wearing that out of the house, like styling it, because as much as I've tried, can't do it. So that's why I kind of like to buy from the smaller businesses. Plus, they're way more creative with what they can, with what they do. So it's really nice to see that.
Yeah, I was going to ask that I feel like everyone knows that the traditional style of merch can be quite hard to style. I was going to ask if you had any tips for making it look cute, but it sounds like it's just pretty difficult to do. I guess it's kind of like, unless you're wearing it to a race or just wearing it around the house and things like that, it kind of doesn't really make it that easy to wear, like styled with other items of clothing, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the same with some concert merch. Like I end up using it as like bed t-shirts or stuff like that. Like I never end up actually wearing it out because it's not like stylable. Like I know I should be like, oh, you can try and do it, and you could, but there's only so much you can do, really. So yeah, buy from small businesses. They're much better, I promise.
This leads straight into my next question, which is, what are your favorite small businesses that you've shopped from for merch, or even just like your favorite pieces of merch that you've bought from small businesses?
Right, I might need to check on my phone. But like I said, What Design Studio, they actually gifted me one, but I was gonna buy stuff from that anyway, which is really cool. So they have jumpers and t-shirts, and I really like them because they're like a vintage style tee. So very wearable. I saw them at Kota, I think it was, and I was like, that's a really cool top. So I'm definitely gonna buy from there. One I want to buy from is, I think it's, what is it? Keep It Personal, where they do like the embroidered ones. I think F1 people will probably know them. But I really like their stuff as well. Who else? Oh yeah, Wear It UK. They have some really cute stuff on there as well. They gave me like an Alex Albon top, but they also do like tote bags and then have like the print on it, which I think is really cool. But I just love how they've made the design so much cooler, like with like they've got like the helmet on it and everything. But yeah, no, there's so many, but I've not managed to get stuff from all of them yet. I wish I could. So hopefully in the future, I'll add it to my Christmas list.
Yeah, it's great that there are so many to choose from. I think that's just, the more businesses that are creating this merch, the better. And I was going to ask as well about showing that support for those small businesses that you've mentioned. What inspired you to kind of support those businesses, except for the aesthetic side of it? What is so important to you about spotlighting those creators beyond just the fact that the merch obviously looks nicer?
I think it is just important to showcase these businesses because they are small, like you said, and when you see the quality of what they're doing, you know it's worth showcasing to a wider audience. And I know also there are people like me who want to support these businesses, so I'm glad that I can showcase that with other people because they deserve it and they work so hard to do it. And it's so hard when you see like small businesses just not get where they're meant to be, if that makes sense. Like, you know, they've got the good stuff, but it's just finding the audience. And I know personally from like on TikTok myself, it can be hard to find the people that you're specifically wanting to be interested in your brand. So I guess for me, it's like if anyone was to, shout me out and stuff, that would be amazing. So I think I kind of think of it that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is just that real community on TikTok. Particularly, I've only been on TikTok myself for about just under a year now, but I've noticed just the community is so supportive and welcoming, and everyone just kind of lifts each other up, which I think is so lovely.
Yeah, especially because when I first joined, I was a bit like nervous joining because like I didn't know that much about F1. I wasn't sure if people were going to be like kind of like the guys where they're like, you should know this. But they were really great. Like I'd ask questions and you wouldn't be like thought of as, stupid or something like that for, oh, you don't know this, well, you should know this sort of thing. Like everyone was very welcoming. And also it's really funny to me, sorry, it's kind of a sidetrack, but how everyone just knows everybody. Like I'll be talking to somebody else about like someone else or showing them their content. They're like, oh yeah, I know them. And I'm like, oh yeah, everybody really does know everyone on here. And it makes me laugh, but I love that. It's so good.
It is so cool. I love the community. Speaking of your TikTok, I saw a video that you made about fans being either loyal to teams or to drivers. I know you're a big Alex Albon fan yourself, but what do you think like draws you to support a certain driver or a certain team? What do you think it is about them that like pulls you in?
So I'd say McLaren, Lando Norris was because that was where kind of when my friends introduced me into it. So when I didn't know kind of who people were, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to root for Lando. And obviously, seeing his progression, I'm still glad I've not like moved off that train. But I think for Alex Albon, it was obviously I did watch Drive Side, but like seeing the development and how, he was knocked back down, but then he's got back up and he's just risen back and he's just done so well at Williams. I think maybe it's that, what's the word called? It's something about like their story or their arc. I don't know if it's character arc.
I had the exact same thing with Pierre Gasly because as I started to watch F1, it was as Pierre had just been demoted from Red Bull. That was kind of the time that I really got invested. I watched it as a child and a teenager, but that was like when I really started watching every single race and making sure I didn't miss anything and stuff. Was just as Pierre had been demoted from Red Bull, he'd just gone back to AlphaTauri as it was back then.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think the season that I started watching it religiously was when he won his first race.
Oh, when I watched that on Drive to Survive, I was like a bawling mess. I was like, go Pierre, this is so great. Like I think it's that thing of, like I said, they're getting knocked down, but they will get back up again. Just seeing that they've not, that it's not hit them that hard. Not that it didn't hit them hard, but that they've conquered it kind of. That just feels so great to watch.
Absolutely. And since fashion is very much based on visual aesthetics, another thing I really wanted to speak to you about is the liveries, because we're deep into livery launch season at the
Yeah.
moment. I really want to know your thoughts and your opinions on the liveries.
So obviously a lot of them have just gone very much carbon fiber with like a dash of color. So that was a little bit disappointing, but I was very happy with Mercedes that came out today. Probably one of my favorites. Then I think Ferrari, obviously we knew it was gonna be red, but it still looks amazing. And it's got like the white and yellow lines and it's not looking too McDonald'sy. So thumbs up from me. And then who else would be my next? I think Steak. I like how Steak did this, but I was so disappointed, which I've already said on my TikTok, about Alpine. They showed this pink camo and it was nowhere in sight. I was so excited and then I saw it and I just wanted to shut my laptop because I was like, no, what was this? They should have something where they have to make the cars have color all over. Like they have to. I think that should be in the regulations because then I think they could make cooler looking cars. Well, designs.
Honestly, I agree. I just feel like, especially with the Alpine, because they did tease that and then let us down, but I just
Yeah.
feel like it's a problem all over the grid. There are so many cars that have more carbon fiber than they do paint at this point, and I do
Yeah, I
feel
know. I saw this.
boring.
No, I saw a TikTok where it was like the cars were all racing, and the other person was like, to the one watching, it was like, so which is your favorite team? Like, who's driving? And he's like, that one. He's like, no, that one, because they all look black. I'm like, pretty much, very accurate.
It is disappointing because I do feel like, even though it's not the be all and end all how the cars
Yeah.
look in terms of the colors. But when you are, especially, I imagine when I've never been to an F1 race personally, but when
Yeah.
you're at the track, I imagine it might be quite difficult to tell some of them apart this year because they're all carbon.
No, definitely, especially if you've not got like the screens up and you're just
Yeah.
basing which cars. They go so fast. How are you supposed to know which? Which? It's not good, but hopefully next year. I'm hoping at least they do like a special livery camo. I might forgive them if they do that, but we'll see.
We'll see. Speaking of, the fact that the 2024 season is about to start, we're only a few weeks away from Bahrain now. I was wondering if you could make some predictions for 2024, both in terms of the F1 and also just fashion trends, what you think is going to be, popping off, doing well in 2024 in fashion, and who you think is going to do well in F1 or not so well.
Yeah. Thing is, I'm probably a bit biased. Like, if I have my realistic version of what's going to happen compared to what I would want to happen, probably very different. I am hoping, I feel like Red Bull is still going to be reigning. I'm hoping there's some competition brought, but I'm not so sure at the moment. I feel like, again, it's going to have to be the first race, see how the cars run, and then know what's going to happen. But I'm hoping to have a few different race winners. That would be great to spice things up a bit more. Really hoping Lando gets his first win. Like, I feel like we're so close, yet so far at the same time. So fingers crossed. I also think Piastri is going to do well. He showed potential last year, and I'm hoping they don't have a season like last year where the first half is terrible. And then, so I'm hoping if we get like a full good year, we could see them climbing. So I'm praying for that. So yeah, that's my, maybe not my predictions, but my wants, maybe. And fashion wise, I'm not sure. I just want to see people being more experimental, especially like actually at the F1 paddock. I feel like more of them have got girlfriends, so I'm hoping the girlfriend effect really pulls in and it helps them, because I think it's worked with Pierre Gasly. I think I've been seeing him over Christmas and I was like, oh, some of those outfits are looking good. So I'm hoping Pierre Gasly keeps that up. So thank you, Kika. I'm sure that was all you.
In God's work.
Yeah, it was definitely, yeah. It also, like with Mick Schumacher, I know he's not in it, but like the whole girlfriend effect, he's like an influencer now. I love it. It's so good.
A little TikToker coming for our brand,
I know. I'm like, you can't be both. That's not fair. Like, oh, not fair at all. But I'm trying to think what else. I just think I'm hoping a lot more cute merch, or at least people taking that to the F1 events. But obviously it's hard because if you're not in paddock, you really can't wear the most comfortable. You have to go for comfort over fashion, so it can be a bit hard. But considering I've seen outfits of codes, so I'm pretty sure we're capable of putting some good outfits together that we can still wear at the races.
Fingers crossed for all of that. I love the manifestation predictions. Like,
Yep.
just saying Red Bull are going to win is boring. Let's manifest some actual Lando Norris wins, please, and thank you.
Honestly, praying every night.
Fingers crossed. Well, thank you so much for your time today. My final question is, if my listeners want to go and check your content out, give you a follow, where can they find you?
So it's Naya India on Instagram and TikTok. That is NYAHINDIA. I'm having to figure out how to spell my name. It's so weird. I'm like looking at the letters in my head. But yeah, same on both of those. So hopefully you find it and you can see stuff that you enjoy.
Awesome. It will all be linked in the description of this podcast episode. So they'll be able to click the links and make it nice and easy for them. And thanks again for being a guest on Down to the Tyre. And thank you to everyone who has listened. Be sure to go and check out Naya on all of her platforms. And you can also find me, Down to the Tyre, on everything. Love that. So thanks so much, Naya. Really enjoyed having you as a guest today. And as I said before, everyone go check her out. Her content is amazing, especially if you need fashion advice.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Bye, guys.